Hello, and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to another live Manchester United news, transfer news, and just general catch-up update. Let's talk about everything going on the show because there's a few stories coming out today. INEOS cost-cutting, bit of backlash from players inside the club aren't happy with INEOS. No new contracts for Mainoo or Garnacho. No agreement could be reached, but I believe they are contracted till 2027 or 2028. So should we be concerned? People's trying to stir the pot that Mainoo and Garnacho might not sign new deals at Manchester United, even Ahmad, because I think Ahmad hasn't got the new deal sorted yet. I'm not sure, but United are confident he will because he's playing regularly and he could be picked up for 3 in a couple of days. There's lots of sort of talks and updates going about surrounding United. Nuno Mendes, INEOS are really genuinely concerned about Amorim's squad and want to sort of look at a couple of positions ahead of the January window. They're really concerned about the wingback situation, but other positions. There's other talk about Kirkes Mendes, Delap, Joe Bellingham, Naipan coming out, cost cutting, facing a bit of backlash from players. Apparently, Rashford isn't the only player that wants to leave. There's quite a multitude of stories coming out, as well as just we're going to have a bit of a chit-chat discussion in today's show. So look, I do apologise for any delays. Wi-Fi has been absolute nightmare today, but we're going to dive into the show because there's a lot to talk about, a lot to get involved. I do want to get involved with the live chat as well. Someone said we need to make January sign. It's been a relegation battle, says Suze. If I think we're going to lose to Newcastle and I think we're going to lose to Liverpool, which are our next 2 Premier League games, which I hate to say. I think we're going to lose them. Then we have Southampton. If we lose the next 3 in a row, which would include Southampton, because Arsenal's FA Cup, then I will be concerned. But until we've got past Southampton, I'm not fueling we're in a relegation battle. I think we're too good for that, and everyone's going to comment, remind me of the 70s when everybody said that. I'm not worried yet. But if we don't beat Southampton, that's when I'll start to worry. That's when I'll start to be scared. But we definitely need January signings. For me, wing-back's the priority. I think INEOS have realised that wing-back's the priority because we've always recruited to play in a back 4. We've now got someone that plays in a back 5. So all the ball progression comes through wing-backs. And if you look at statistics of how we score more goals when Ahmad's playing at wing-back or even when Anthony was there, it's okay to have maybe one wing-back being a full-back that's defensive, but if both wing-backs are defensive full-backs, we've got nothing to provide us going forward. And it's very obvious INEOS are looking at that. Nuno Mendes, Alvaro Fernandez, Kirkes, Dorgu, 8 Nouri, I think at the 5 being watched at. Hernandez as well, but I'm not convinced about him. I think he's overrated. Alphonso Davies, don't think he's going to come. We'll talk about the situation, but I want to dive into the contract story going on because Simon Jones said that Manchester United is struggling to reach an agreement on new contracts for Kobbie, Mainoo and Garnacho. And in my first thought in my head was, I thought they recently signed new contracts, it's not like Ahmad. So, and then I was like, oh, that's not a good sign. And then there was other stories like, oh, you know what? Rashford might not be the only academy star that wants to leave, Mainoo could, all of that. We'll dive into those, not by anyone reliable. It was literally just aggregated that nobody is safe at United right now, and as INEOS is reportedly willing to offload the majority of players over the next 2 years, while Marcus Rashford has expressed desire for a new challenge, there's a growing sense that several other players are also considering their futures. What was that? Someone just... Weird noise. Someone just fell in my room for some reason. But then Adam reminded me that Kobbie, Mainoo and Garnacho signed contracts last year, like I thought, to 2027 with a 1-year option to extend. So yeah, there's 2.5 years left on them. If it's 1.5 years or 6 months, that's when you worry. But there's 2 and a bit years left on them. So it's not something we need to worry about. It's something we sort in the summer. And he said this is scaremongering tactics amidst the current state of United being used by Simon Jones, whose articles aren't worthy of being used as toilet paper. He sort of is in that Mark Ogden sort of likes to stir the pot category of journalists there, because I was convinced they'd signed new contracts. So when I saw that, I was a bit, And I think one thing you got to remember is, well, there is speculation, there is talk, but we're going to dive into these points in a second. But I think one thing you got to remember is when things are bad at Manchester United, we're not getting results and it's negative, all of a sudden we'll get those reports that inside sources, dressing room leaks. If Man United are winning games, we're not getting these kind of articles out. I spoke to a journalist once and he said that basically the dressing room leaks, last season we got loads of dressing room leaks because I think everyone, we come third and 10 off, we've won a cup. we thought we were going to do really well last season and we were crap. And we got all the dressing room leaks come out. And someone said to me that all the leaks that they got were actually, the journalists received them in like pre-season, talking like pre-season of 2023. But then when Man United started getting really bad in November, that's when the leaks would come out. Because the journalist said to me, there's no point putting out the leaks in pre-season when there's quite positive mood, you've just signed some players, everyone's feeling confident going into the season. There's no point putting the leaks out then. So the journalists will have leaks for months and months and months, but they will wait a little bit of time before they're like, okay, we'll put the leak out. Okay. And that's one thing you've got to remember. So because it's negative at United, the leaks, any kind of stories, the journalists that, make their money off negativity, United clicks, feast at these. So, they're saying struggling to reach an agreement, la la la. I don't think it's an area of concern. There is players that want to go. There is talk of, Garnacho and Amorim not getting along. But again, that is rumours. It's not like a tier one source like The Athletic or Simon Stone or Romano said that. It's, it's rumours that, this Garnacho and Amorim doesn't get along and Amorim doesn't view him highly, this and that. But it's all rumours, it's all speculation because things are bad. So let's just assume, Garnacho's fallen out of Amorim because he's not started a few games. The media, when we brought in Amorim, had no idea what our transfer plans were. So we'll just get linked to Gyökeres because we need someone that could score goals and he's Amorim's best player. So we'll just get linked to Gyökeres. I'm sure we've looked at him, but the media, as soon as Amorim comes in, starts saying we're planning to sign Gyökeres under him. But Amorim probably hadn't even had a transfer discussion with INEOS at that point. They make it up. Garnacho's not started a few games. Speculation. So there's always that element of the media that you've got to be careful with. But I was sort of looking at the situation and weighing it up. Someone said play Amos and Toby now. Toby Collier, yes. Amas, I think, is going to go out on loan. We're going to talk about that. There's a sort of news and updates about Amas' exit. Amas going out on loan. We will talk about that in a second, but we will talk about Garnacho and Mainoo. Could they sign new deals? Because INEOS want Garnacho, Mainoo, and Amad to be the face of the new United project or something, was what came out in summer. I don't know if that's still the case now. I do think Garnacho is a little bit out of favour under Amorim, and I don't know if he suits the system being a left 10. So I think Garnacho's future is in doubt, especially when there's talk of Atletico Madrid looking at a 60 million deal, this, that. Mainoo is becoming a bit of a scapegoat. Does he suit a midfield too? There's questions about it. I think Mainoo will be fine. Very talented player. We are currently in 14th. So, if Mainoo, has an unbelievable season and we want to time down next year and we're crap next year, that's when there's question marks around keeping players. But we haven't got any superstars. If we had Mo Salah in the side and we were 14th and Mo Salah had 2 years left on his contract, there's no way Mo Salah would stay at United. But we don't have Mo Salah. We don't have any player that's anywhere near Mo Salah. So it's not like we're in a position where I think we're going to struggle to keep big stars at the club, because who are the big stars? Because the big stars we want to get rid of. There's a lot of players that could be moved on by INEOS, but I'm not that concerned in regards to Garnacho or any of that as well. Thank you very much for the super chat here. Surgeon Ratcliffe pinching charity pennies just shows how clueless he is running a major club. The real waste is these excessive player salaries. Get ruthless with those not aging and ill legends, says Paul. And look, I agree. For me, it's the biggest problem. I know the players are obviously contracted and it's all legalities and stuff, but we are taking away from disabled people. We're taking away from the charities. We're taking a play from the retirement. So, Ratcliffe and INEOS can have a bit more money for their pockets. But the players that have put us in this mess, that do not try, that do not give 100%, that are the reason we're not performing, we can't touch those wages. And on paper, it's absolutely not fair. It's an absolute joke. Absolute joke. And Sir Jim has been acting like a Glazer lately, hasn't he? I have more faith in Sir Jim than the Glazers. He's bringing on Barada and I think he's ambitious. But when he's making decisions like he's making, I'm all for cost cutting, being ruthless. Okay, he had to let 200 staff members go. That's fine. But when you're taking away a couple $100,000 from a charity, well, that's less than the player's weekly wage. Why are you taking away from the charities? Why are you taking, disabled support, charities, retirement? Christmas parties being cancelled. You might have to get rid of a few staff here and there and make general cost cutting, but they need to be more aware. They need to be more aware of the cost cutting they're doing. Absolutely. Avron raised to 250k. Do you know what? This is a really good point. When we were in the FA Cup final in 2023, the Glazers flew out to London just for a weekend, 2-3 days in London. They flew out. and they spent 250k on United. We're talking about stopping 40k payments to charities, 40k, when the owners spent 250k in a weekend to watch us in the FA Cup final. 250k for 3 nights in London is what Abraham and Joel spent and put on club expenses. Yet 40k for charities we can't do. That is an absolute disgrace when you mention it. Absolute disgrace. That Abraham and Joel could spend 250k for a weekend in London, but we won't give charities 40 grand or we'll cut funding to disabled. Because Abraham and Joel do not need more money in their pocket. It's ridiculous. It is, and I could sit here all day, and I could sit here and I could rant about the Glazers, and I could say words about them, but I don't want to get demonetized. But we're going to talk about other stuff going on at United, other issues going on, other talk as well. But it's unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. I just want my club back. Do you know what I mean? I just want Man United to be good. I just want my club back. I try to be positive. And I try to look and I think, well, you know what? Left 10, left wing back, right wing back. I think we would definitely jump up a level. Eriksen Casemiro replacement, that's number 4. Left centre back, number 5, but there's Gobble Kokonki. I try to be positive. And I try and think, be patient with Højlund, be patient with Garnacho, this and that. Because I do really rate Rasmus Højlund as a player. And I think that, his touch needs to improve, his movement needs to improve. He's raw, he's young, but I think elements of getting the service, he could be good. But it's so frustrating when you're trying to be patient with players because they're young players thrown into a poor environment and you know that these guys have potential to be really good. But then the experienced players aren't performing and you're trying to be positive and think, if Amorim changes this and that, it could be better. But then you just let down every week. And then the environment's not good because of cost cutting and INEOS doing this and that. And we got excited about INEOS coming in because Barada came in, Ashworth came in. For me, the minute Ashworth was sacked, my opinions on INEOS have gone massively down because, yes, they may have brought him in, decided he wasn't the right guy, decided to sack him. Maybe in the long term that's the right decision. But I think that was careless. I think they were reactionary just because Ashworth wanted to give Ten Hag more time because, as we've seen, changing the manager doesn't change much. I think we've got more control under Amorim. I think our principles are better under Amorim. I think there's more identity under Amorim. I think Amorim coming in to replace Ten Hag will eventually be the right decision. But we've recruited for Ten Hag. We've spent 600 million for Ten Hag. We've got the fullbacks for Ten Hag ball. Amorim coming in isn't going to make us any better when he plays a completely different style of play until we've brought in some wing-backs at least. I think wing-backs, even with the current crop of squads, if we just brought in wing-backs, it could make a big difference under Amorim. But Ashworth wanted to be more patient, so he got sat with it. And I think that's where elements of concern for me about INEOS is more about the wing-backs and how that's treated. Alice, Toon fan here, are you worried for tomorrow? Yes. I'm shitting myself because we've got Noah Garte, who is our only player in midfield that actually has the legs that could keep up with Bruno Guimaraes and Tonali and the athleticism of Newcastle. And we also don't have Bruno Fernandes, who, yes, wasn't very good versus Wolves, but Bruno Fernandes and Agate are the 2 players in the Man United squad that can cover the most distance and run the most. Newcastle are the best team in the league when it comes to pressing, athleticism and work rate. That's why we struggled against them last season because of how much they run. And our 2 best players are running are out. I would have had a Bruno Fernandes Agate pivot versus Newcastle. They're out. We're talking probably Mainoo Casemiro that's not worked. Eriksen Casemiro, that's leggy. I mean, Collier, Bruno Guimaraes, Tonali. I'm shitting it. Because Newcastle, after Liverpool, are the second most informed team in the league because Newcastle scored 3+ goals in their last 6 games in a row and have picked up the most points in the last 4 or 5 games or something after Liverpool. So yes, I am very, very concerned. Our identity under Amorim is getting beat by Wolves. But you know what I mean? Look, if you look at it under Amorim, we're keeping the ball better. There's less gaps. But we're not creating as much because the progression under Amorim comes from the wing-backs and we don't have the wing-backs that can do that. So that's really limiting us going forward. That's why when Ahmad's played at wing-back, we've actually scored a lot more goals, but then Ahmad's our best player in the final third. So we always need 2 Ahmads. So there's an identity there and there's a bit more control, but we're making more mistakes under Amorim and there's just an attack. Alice, I think we need a proper clear out like Sporting did because these players are crap and can't play for the badge. I agree. Just got to depend on see what we can do with FFP. So yes, let's talk about transfers. Let's talk about transfer talk. Let's talk about bits and bobs that are going about. So Manchester United have asked about Nuno Mendes, who's rejected PSG's contract offer, said Simon Jones at the Mail. And then this was said via United Red Report that the Muppeteers said the most solid name for left back with the biggest interest in the Premier League is Kirkes. It was also said on Nuno Mendes that Manchester United have made an offer for Nuno Mendes, and the player is said to be keen on joining Ruben Amorim. As things stand, Nuno Mendes wants to leave PSG, and it was also said that Nuno Mendes has emerged as the top target to replace Luke Shaw, and the player is reportedly pleased with Manchester United's interest in him. So these are sort of the reports we're getting in here. That Nuno Mendes rejected PSG. We also like Kirkes. Man United made an offer for Nuno Mendes, and he is the top candidate. United Frenzy, which is also said via United Red Report, I'm going to give a shout out to, because I think when it comes to getting information and summing it up and actually making sure the information is correct and not spun, I would say United Frenzy, arguably probably not the United Frenzy, United Red Report, one of the best aggregator accounts to follow, because they give credits to smaller accounts that are actually quite credible rather than the mainstream journalists that just spit crap and crap and crap. But also they break it down really well. So United Red Report, shout out to them, because I think they're one of the better aggregator accounts at breaking down information, and shout out United Frenzy for this information. And I've just realised I am running on the wrong Wi-Fi. Okay, we might drop out for like 15 seconds. I'm going to be back in 15 seconds, but I'm going to change Wi-Fi because I'm running not on my Wi-Fi, which maybe if I run on Wi-Fi, maybe not. Okay, I've switched Wi-Fi to see if this is better, but if it's not better, let me know if it's blurry. But I was running on the wrong thing. So yeah, someone said new camera quality looks better. This is just a webcam built in because, yeah, I need to sort out the camera situation at the moment. But we'll talk about Nuno Mendes. Nuno Mendes is great, but only if we don't ever pay for his wages. I like Nuno Mendes. I think top 3 left backs in the world. Some would say number 1. Haven't seen enough of them to debate if he's number 1. Top 3 left backs in the world. Very good going forward. Injury concern, yes, but he hasn't been injured properly in like a good season and a half. Wages is another question as well. It was said that Nuno was unhappy with the wages he had at PSG, which sounds like 1.4 million per year. I don't really mind, but if he's another player who's just coming for the money, I don't know what I'll do. I agree, we need him to come because he wants to come. I think he could want to come because Ruben Amorim got the best out of him at Sporting, and he knows, 1, the Premier League is a much better league than Ligue 1, and 2, he doesn't have to play in a back 4 as a defensive fullback. He can play as an attacking fullback at United, which may attract him to Manchester United potentially. Oh, what is this? Sorry, I just got a couple of texts coming through. So hopefully the quality is better now, switching networks, but who knows? So they obviously speak about the left back situation. United Frenzy gives an update rounded up by United Red Report here, saying both right and left wing back have been identified as positions that can be bolstered. I like that. I look at United right now, left wing back, right wing back, and left 10 are the 3 priorities for me. And because one of Eriksen and Casemiro is going to go, maybe 2, midfielder, centre mid, left 10, left wing back, right wing back. They are the 4 priorities. Centre mid, left 10, left wing back, right. They're the 4 priorities. And then we're looking at left centre back, and then we're looking at striker. But that will depend on sales and attack. That will depend on defence. I think we will need a centre back because of Evans and Lindelof inevitably leaving. Obviously, Mazraoui, I think, is best role is right centre back. Mazraoui and Yoro can be right centre back. Maguire and Delap can be central centre back. We need Martinez and someone that can be left centre back. That could be Kukonki. But that's the way I look at United right now. They said that there are genuine concerns within the club regarding the options that Amorim has at his disposal, which makes complete sense because when you look at the Man United squad, there's not many players there that you think, well, 1, they're good, and 2, they suit Amorim ball. There's players at United that I think are good players, but they don't suit Amorim ball, so they don't look good. Diallo is a good player in a back 4, but he's not a good player at wing back, so he's not playing well under Amorim, so he will have to go. Do I think Diallo is a bad player? No, technically, physically, quite a good player. But he's not a good player at the moment because he doesn't suit the system. Alejandro Garnacho has potential to be a very good player, but I have concerns about how he suits the system. So there's players that I think are good or could be worth a bit, but just don't suit the system. And then there's players like Antony, not good enough. Casemiro doesn't have the legs. Eriksen doesn't have the legs. Xerxes, still to be known. Shaw, Malacia can't stay fit. Mason Mount, if he could stay fit, I think would be very good under Ruben Amorim, but he can't stay fit. So there's all those things. So there is, of course, going to be genuine concern inside INEOS about the options at United as well. You've got to sell first, potentially, and that's why I think Rashford going, getting 50 million, getting his wages off. I think that's what they're looking to doing. Choco is flying today against Benfica. He's levels ahead of our current strikers. I think this one, not fraud. I actually spoke to someone, and we were talking about who we'd bring in, and I said in a dream world, Ahmad right 10, Gyökeres striker, Cunha left 10. Cunha, Ahmad, Gyökeres front three would be unbelievable. Unbelievable. Cunha, Ahmad, Gyökeres front three, but I don't think we'd have the funds for that because Cunha's 60 million, Gyökeres is 60 million, and we need to get wing backs in. Unless if we could sell Rashford, Anthony, maybe even Garnacho, Eriksen, Casemiro, Lindelof, Evans, Malacia, Shaw out of the door, maybe there's the funds for Cunha, Gyökeres, as well as left wing back, right wing back, centre back, midfielder, 6 signings. That would Ahmad, Gyökeres, Cunha front three would be the dream. That would be ridiculous. Yeah. Alice, can you see United going for loan with option to buy for Nuno Mendes? Maybe, but I think PSG would want money so they can look for replacements in January themselves. I think Dorgu and Kirkers also wants to watch. It was said by United Frenzy that Kirkers ranks highly on the left wing back data from a data point of view, and also Premier League proven and young. There has been discussions with Harry Amos's camp regarding the possibility of going out on loan. He's one of the players that's sort of been set back by Ten Hag being sat because he was one that Ten Hag was saying, give you a couple months to bulk up, I'm going to sort of bring you in the second half of the season. It was said the club do not want him to get stuck in the middle between the first team and the academy, which has happened to other players in the past. Harry Amos is one of the players in the academy that might be ready to take that step up into first team football, but if they take the step up into the United first team, they're not quite ready for that, so they need to go and take a step up in the Championship. I think a Championship loan would be a very good move for Harry Amos. I do have worries about him physically, but technically not at all. Interestingly, an exclusive here saying that 18-year-old Argentine centre-back Juan Gimenez has been scouted extensively this season, and that Ederson is a player that's been scouted heavily both this season and last season, but an approach for January is not considered feasible. Unless Marcus Rashford's sold, or maybe you get Eriksen off the book wages, I do not see us moving for a midfielder. I think the only move we'll make in January is a left wing back. I think the fact that we've made an offer for Nuno Mendes reportedly, there's talks with Kirkus and Dorgu, I think left wing back. Who do you want in January? Alice, also summer. January, I would take Dorgu, Kirkus or Nuno Mendes. Summer, Cunha. I'd like to go for Rodrigo Kvaratskhelia, but I don't see it's realistic. So I'd go with Cunha. I would go with obviously bringing the Mendes in the January window. I'd go with Cunha. I'd look to get either Schlotterbeck, Hato, Hincapie, Luca Barr or Branthwaite, one of those 5 options for left centre back. And then I would look at maybe right wing backs like Kenda, potentially see where Bendito Mantato maybe stands. And then I would look at an athletic midfielder, Baliba, Palacios, could potentially be someone that could do the job. Maybe we'll look at Wharton or Stiller, but Wharton's been quite poor. Still, I don't know if he's realistic. I'd look at maybe an athletic midfield profile. And then, Gyökeres. I don't think striker's number one priority because I do think Højlund could be good, but I just think the level of quality Gyökeres has, you have to potentially look at it. It was also said by United Frenzy that Naipan and another midfielder has been scouted in Jens. I don't know who he is. Recent Joe Bellingham links could have legs, which United District links to Joe Bellingham. We spoke about that in my video earlier today. And obviously, we also spoke about in my video today, we looked at Chris Rigg, which has also been confirmed by this source. They said we're keeping an eye on Tyler Dibbling, which has been confirmed by many sources. And that Dylan Bakwa from Strasbourg has been scouted, although Chelsea have a big connection with Strasbourg. This could be from a right wing-back perspective, which is interesting. And that clubs have continued to monitor Sesko as well. But Sesko's another Højlund in the situation that he's young. He's very similar to Højlund in that sense. Delap's also been scouted by numerous outlets. So big up to United Frenzy and United Red Report for summarising that up. Definitely go give them a follow online. But they've given us some interesting updates in regards to players that we've actually been linked to. Sesko, Delap's definitely ones we're looking at for the striker position. Dibbling, Bakwa, maybe for right wing back. Obviously, Kenda's been linked. Joe Bellingham for 10, Naipan for 10, Chris Rigg for centre mid potentially, obviously Juan Gimenez potentially for centre back future, Harry Amos loan, but they're saying, left wing back and right wing back's been looked at, which does not surprise me because I actually thought left wing back, then left 10, then centre mid, then centre back, but actually I'm thinking left wing back, left 10, then right wing back right now because I think I've understood the importance of wing backs to Amorim's system and how Ahmad is our best right 10, and maybe we need the right back to keep him in right 10 because I think Ahmad's probably going to have to go back to right wing back because of the lack of quality there as well. Sunderland turning into a feeder club. They've got Job, they've got Chris Rigg, they've got some unbelievable players. I would look at Sesko as well. Sesko is a top player, but he's Sesko and Delap. My only worry with them is they're still so young and raw. Sesko's got 6 goals and 2 assists in 15 matches this season. He's in semi-good form, but he's very raw with Sesko. That's the only concern as well. Mainoo contract struggles getting reported, yes, but he's still got 2.5 years left on his contract. It's not like he's got 6 months and we're struggling. It's not like we're in the Trent, Van Dijk, Salah situation that Liverpool are in. So I'm not too concerned about that. I think it is journalists sort of trying to spin a narrative a little bit more for clicks. Bayer Leverkusen midfielder Palacios was looked at by United last year. He was, so that could be one to watch. I like the look of Palacios. I just have concerns over his injury record, but I think he could be a baller. Man City won. Maybe United will win tomorrow. Hope so. Who's your team of the season so far, Alice? Team of the season so far? No one from Man United. Don't know. Raya in goal. Maybe Timber or Trent right back. Centre backs probably Murillo and Van Dijk. Left back between Kirkes, Lewis Hall. Robinson's been good though. Midfield's got to be Caicedo, Kulusevski, Gravenberch. Played Palmer in attack as a false 9. Maybe Salah. And then on the left, Diaz? Yeah. Or Saka on the left, I don't know. I'd have to think that more. But United keeping an eye on Tyler Dibbling is interesting news as well. Someone said... No, that doesn't make sense. I was going to read that out, but it doesn't make sense. Someone said 6-1 to Newcastle. 5. Why are people thinking Newcastle are just going to batter us? Look, I think it's going to be 3-1 to Newcastle. I'm not going to lie. Big up everybody for 102k. I think it's going to be 3-1 to Newcastle. I do think it's going to be 3-1 to Newcastle. Ahmad's better as right wing back than 10. He's not, but he will be for the team because Ahmad's not. Because we don't have a natural... Ahmad's best game at right 10 was when Anthony was playing with him, because at least Anthony has forward instinct, despite not being good. Ahmad's best position would be right 10 if he had a right wing back that was attacking and could do the overlaps and carry the ball and give him the ball a lot. Ahmad right now, best position will be right wing back, because we don't have that right wing back that has the attacking quality, because Masraoui is defensively minded and probably better as a right centre back to get the ball to him more. And that's why I think the front three is starving because of that. So that's how I feel on that situation. But let's get back into some other talk and transfer talk. According to Simon Jones, Leicester City have made contact with United over potential ahead of the January window. Toby Collier could be one to watch, but I think Amorim may keep him due to lack of legs. It was also said that United, Chelsea, Liverpool and City are all want to sign Delap, and City have a buyback clause. He also has other suitors though. So that's one to watch. Liam Delap, we've been linked to him by David Ornstein and many people. I think Liam Delap is definitely one to watch. I want to do something quickly. I want to just thank everybody for all the recent support on the channel. I have to say it's been unbelievable lately. I know it's been a bit of a negative period for United, and it's not been the best mood around the club at the moment, but the support that's been shown by you guys following the channel, helping out with the channel, it really doesn't go unnoticed. We hit 100k like a week and a half ago, and we were on 102k, 336 subscribers. Like, unbelievable stuff. So big up to everybody that tunes in, supports the channel, everything. You know, I try and report all the news, give my opinions, and then I try my best to tell you like my opinion on the news in the sense of just like, do I trust the source of information? Do I think some of the news today is stirring the pot. I always try my best to get the news, round it up, put it on the screen so you can actually see it, and so you know that I'm not just making up that some journalist said this or that, because I've been accused of that before. I reported something and then someone claimed that I said something, and they're like, Alice, you said we're going to sign this person and we didn't sign them. And I was like, no, I said that so-and-so said we're going to sign this person, and I said that I don't trust so-and-so. So I always try and round up the news and then tell you who the sources are, and if I think they're a shit stirrer, if I think they're a good journalist, if I take it with a pinch of salt, or if I think there could be more to hear. So I want to just thank everyone for all the support lately as well. 100k club is mad, but we will get into some updates. So I want to just quickly talk about what Amorim spoke about, because Amorim's been asked about the shite form inside United. He said, when I took this job, I knew that I was signing up for a lot of work. If we're to make long-term changes that we want to make to Manchester United, then we have to go through that step by step. We're looking to implement a new way of playing at the busiest time of year, so there's short-term costs for our long-term aim. So what Ruben Amorim is saying is he's not going to go back to a 4-2-3-1 because that suits the squad better, because then this time next season, he'll be having the same problem when he tries to implement this system. He's also saying he doesn't really have time to train because there's a match every 2 days, so he can't really change too much yet. It's the busiest time of year, it's difficult. But he's saying this tough job, there's a lot of work, and you've got to go through step by step, you've got to be patient. He said the players are working hard, some, I think, not all, on and use all the new information and instructions they're getting. The longer they do this, the easier it will be for them, and the comfort and confidence will grow. I think if we can get a couple wins, a couple goals, a bit of confidence, that will help us. The team is on the floor when it comes to confidence. That's another thing we need to consider. The team's absolutely on the floor when it comes to confidence and everything inside and around Manchester United. So when we get a couple goals, a bit more confidence, a couple wins, they learn the system, maybe a signing or two in January could push us up a level. And I know there's talk about us being relegated and stuff, but as I said, I'm not too worried yet, people. I'm not too worried yet. There is talk about cost cutting and some players being upset about the cost cutting, but you know what? I'm going to save that for tomorrow's live stream because I don't want this live stream to drag on too much. I think tomorrow's live stream we'll talk about cost cutting, we'll talk about players being upset, and then we will also touch upon the Newcastle game, the lineup, a couple of leaks going about, debunking them as well. So big up everybody as well. Thank you everyone for tuning into today's show. Big love to everybody. I will be back tomorrow. I'm going to say about 11 a.m. with a live show. We'll see. 10:45, 11:30, somewhere around then. See you then. Bye.